What's going on, Charles Botensten? So I know you guys love my book reviews. Sort of kidding, but not really. Most of my book reviews are about self-improvement, self-development. They're about books that tell you you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. But once I read the book about Elon Musk, obviously if you don't know who Elon Musk is, I also had to look up that review. SpaceX, Solar City, Tesla, PayPal, obviously just the forefront entrepreneur that you can think of in the world right now. The guy's literally changing the world in front of our eyes. I don't think many people know that. A lot of people are against it and they want to see him fail for whatever reason. But this is another person that literally teetered on bankruptcy. So I don't know if you know who Phil Knight is. So Phil Knight, obviously the founder of Nike, Shoe Dog. Really the biggest thing about this is you see Nike. First of all, I didn't know who Phil Knight was. And Phil Knight, if you're watching this, I apologize. But I like Nike. But it's one of those things that unless it's a very outspoken founder, say like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, maybe Phil Knight was. I have no idea. I wasn't really into the running world, and I know there's a lot of apparel, and obviously they sponsored literally everyone. Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, McEnroe, just the top names in every sport. And obviously they're doing $32 billion worth of sales. Phil Knight himself is worth $10 billion. And that's the thing, is that you see one of the companies like that, you see them now, you see them today, but you don't know that there's something out there. It's like the 30-year overnight success. And that's exactly what this is. The first 15 years, I didn't know there was something called Blue Ribbon. Blue Ribbon was the forefather to Nike, and the only reason Nike went out on its own and became Nike, and you should hear about how they made these decisions, how they made the decision to go with the name Nike, why they went with swoosh, which is the check mark. Nike, which is based on the Athenian god, I think it is, Athenian god of something, I wish I remembered. However, if you own a company, just know it's gonna suck. He was teetering on bankruptcy for 10 years, getting sued by the government for $25 million, something that he didn't, which was all he made. So they retroactively fined, the US government retroactively fined Nike because they were lobbied by Adidas and Puma, and they retroactively fined Nike for all these shipment fees because of import fees, which was like something that they put through Congress just to screw up Nike's success because they were really flying through the roof. At that time, they were only making $25 million. And that's the thing, is that you see a company, say like Nike or Apple or Microsoft, we have no idea, excuse me, that 10 years after the founding, they're almost in bankruptcy. The amount of times they were getting sued by a Japanese company for copyright infringement, then they countersued in the United States. What they went through just financially, the headaches and the heartaches, they just plugged and plugged and plugged and plugged and plugged and plugged away. Even the decision to go public was a big deal. For myself, I own my own company. And that's the thing, is, do you want to go through 10 years of sludging, and then finally you get a little bit of a success, success? It's not like it's not like their sales weren't increasing. Their sales were doubling. It's just literally, when you grow, you need more capital. You need more money. Like your assets are increasing because you're retaining more sales, but the thing is, you have to buy inventory and then you have to sell it, and it's just get inventory, sell it, and it's just like literally a daily process of taking in and then sending out until you go public, and then you get this big inflow of money. But the thing is, then you give up control of your company. Depends on how you do it. They obviously did A and B shares, which A is preferred stock and B is for everyone else. So they retained control, and then he gave up control, I think in 2007, and he officially retired and he gave it off to good hands. That's the thing, is that my business is only 3 years old. I've been in real estate for 8 years, and that's the thing, is that I want to be further along. but this is the exact path that I need to take. The exact path where I'm just making the amount of money that I want to make while spending as little as I can while still trying to grow. And you read books about how close Elon Musk was to failing in 2009. Literally 1 week away from not making payroll on 2 companies, Tesla and SpaceX, until a loan came through. The amount of times that Phil Knight owed money, the FBI was going to be knocking on their door for fraud because a company was owed $1 million, and then people were flying out to Oregon, whatever you say it, Oregon, because checks were bouncing. You know, $500,000 worth of checks were bouncing for this one person. This other person was, I think, $150,000, and then they owed workers money, which obviously you don't want to piss off your workers. And it's one of those books that you read it and you understand, oh, okay, everyone sees a company nowadays. Like today, say Nike or GE or Apple or Microsoft or Amazon, but they don't know that, they don't know the backstory of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Phil Knight, you know, any of these founders, Steve Jobs, they don't know what they went through in the beginning, like how difficult it was. And it's the same thing with me, is that my company is only 3 years old. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 8 years. So until I hit that 10-year mark, I'm just pushing and pushing. You get a little bit of success, and then it's just this wave, this tidal wave of just unbelievable success, but they see the success up front without all of the backdoor hard work, which he explains in this book. And he's very vulnerable, he's very honest, he's very humble for someone that has $10 billion. I'm just going to read this one part where he talks about some of the areas that he actually regrets. And it's an amazing part of the book, because you're reading the book, you're loving everything about it, and then he just goes into something that you hear all the time, which is regret. And what's his name talks about it all the time, Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk just absolutely, you know, one of the things, so he says, he goes, above all, I regret not spending more time with my sons. And you hear this from very successful people. You hear it from Tony Robbins or Elon Musk, where, you know, he's with his kids, but it's just on weekends or just for like an hour or two during the day, if that. And it's the same thing with Phil Knight, is that Phil Knight, he had his factories in Japan, then it was Taiwan, and then it was China, and he's flying over there. He has retail shops all over the world. He's on the East Coast, he's on the West Coast, then he's global, and he just didn't have the time for his children, so he's sacrificing everything. I saw the documentary on Steve Aoki, the DJ. Steve Aoki, you know, he spent really no time with his kids. I'll continue this. He goes, above all, he goes, of course, above all, I regret not spending more time with his sons. And then he says, and yet I know that this regret clashes with my secret regret that I can't do it all again. That he can't do it all again. That he continues, he goes, God, I wish I can relive the whole thing. He wishes that he can share the experience, the ups and the downs, somewhere, that someone will be inspired or comforted or warned. And it would be nice to tell them it's all about your time and who you spend your time with. It's a 400-page book, just under 400 pages. Yeah, it's a long read. I can't not recommend this enough, because you see what someone went through to build what they built. And you see the outside, but you don't see the back end. A lot of the time, including my company right now, is that everyone sees, oh, he's selling homes, he's doing really well, but they don't see all the back end, the negotiating, the downfalls, the pitfalls, the discouragement that I'm going through. And I want to build a massive company. I have big goals and big dreams. So pick up the book, Phil Knight, very honest, very funny. It's an easy read. It'll take you probably about 2 weeks if you really, you know, hit it hard into the book, because, you know, there's not many, yeah, there's a lot of chapters, but it's still 400 pages. Anyway, leave your comments below if you read it. I have a link below. It's affiliated to Amazon, obviously. Get a couple of pennies if you order it through that way. Leave your comments below. Subscribe to the video if you haven't already. Have an awesome day. Talk to you guys soon.